Hey everyone, welcome to Super Soul Solutions. This is your co-pilot, Marilee, as you know, and I'm happy you're all on board today. Please remember, the Monday afternoon before my Thursday shows, I put up an advanced topic and question page on my News for the Soul radio page, which is under Marilee Melmo, Super Soul Solutions. So go there early to see the topics covered for that Thursday. And there will be always several bullet points and questions I will be addressing. So I can't promise to answer questions, but I'd like to, and you can email me at marilee@supersoulsolutions.com before the show or even during the show, and I will do my best to answer a few questions towards the end. Okay, so I wanted to make sure everyone knew that because I realized I hadn't been clear about that. And obviously, please base your questions on the weekly topic or topics only. So this week, the two topics are 9 relevant reincarnation principles to know and who the last 3 generations of your new children really are. So let's dive in, starting with the 9 relevant reincarnation principles to know. The first is, I've already, by the way, covered in the 2 previous radio shows that death is not real. So I never like to use the word dying. I prefer crossing over to the higher dimensions or leaving your body, which we do every night, and of course come back, which is why we wake up. Your soul is infinite and immortal. Knowing and integrating that reduces fear immensely. That's the first principle. The second is your essence is a soul spirit, period, full stop. You are an aspect of source, a divine spark of love perfection. The soul is not limited by time and is multidimensional, meaning it exists in multiple dimensions simultaneously. From the body's perspective, the soul is conscious, animating force within it. From the soul's perspective, the body is a vehicle for inhabiting physical worlds for evolutionary growth in order to evolve. Okay, so I know some of you, most of you probably know most of these, but I still feel it's important to review. The third principle of reincarnation is the soul evolves fastest by using various physical forms for ultimate diversity and maximum growth. So as a co-creator, you experience the effects of each decision you make while, for the most part, at least on experiencing the illusion of separation from all that is, or source, even though that could never truly be the case because you'd cease to exist. So your thoughts and feelings can be put into action through reincarnation, and you personally experience how effective those free will choices are as an individual. The soul learns in the afterlife review, discussed in previous show, let me repeat. The soul learns as a creator that it has consequences for themselves and for others. And this is how we gain wisdom through experience. The fourth principle is to know that prejudice and racism is nothing but ignorance and a lack of remembering your multiple lives. Souls incarnate choosing different sexes, bodies, soul family, participants, and planets to reincarnate on because the soul evolves through, as I mentioned, diversity of experience. And question, the soul is not a particular sex. It reincarnates as male or female on multiple planets with various skin colors, bodies, again, for maximum soul evolutionary growth, which is always the driving force of any soul, evolutionary growth. And here's the really cool thing. Because we are all essentially part of one huge consciousness, what you learn is shared and available with every other soul and all that is. So all have the opportunity to benefit from your specific experiences and the solutions that you created, okay, to work through challenges, which is so cool. So if ever you're feeling like, oh, just little old me is not having much of an effect, that is not true. billions and billions of souls can access your solutions that you have created, okay? So each lifetime you pick, of course, particular challenges and have a particular purpose. And you learn in reincarnation from compare and contrast from all possible perspectives. So from experience, what comes? Compassion develops and allows you to become a more wise and benevolent creator. The reincarnation is in between lives, which means in between each reincarnation when you've crossed over before you're choosing to come back or go to some planet. The reincarnation is planned, completely planned, with your soul family, participants, guides, helpers on the other side. Now, of course, you choose, you have free will completely, and you choose challenges, your gifts, your talents, and you have, as I said, a specific purpose to achieve in each incarnation or that you would like to achieve. No one's up there giving you demerit or scoring, okay, except your soul family, which urges you on. The other souls agree to this and participate in their different roles, whether or not they remember once they are actually on Earth in body. And so free will, allows them to change their mind and walk away from their commitment because they can't always remember it. So it's always a good idea to take your time to do thorough planning to hedge your bets, so to speak, in between lifetimes. And birth, death, accidents, illnesses are all pre-planned. And usually what I've been told from the 600 people I interviewed who had clinically died and came back to life, there are several exit strategies placed throughout your life so that if you get to a point, feel like, I'm ready to go, that can be, illness, accident, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Your body is also chosen for what purpose this is, and the soul guides the growth in utero. So some children actually, and I know this is really hard to even contemplate, some children come in for a very brief period of time for a variety of reasons. Maybe they just want to get their feet a little wet, or they cross over what we think of as early to provide the family the deep experience of loss and thereby accelerate their growth by the experience if they can choose not to stay a victim. Of course, they are profoundly affected by that. And as I said, challenges and moving through them and integrating them, as you guys know, always evolves the soul to become more wise. There is a law of karma, but it is misunderstood and it's not punishment. The second major law is free will. And karma, I like to look at as a natural homeostasis that nature seeks to come into balance between two souls that have unfinished emotional ties to one another. And quantum physics, entanglement principle. The big thing is to try to remember to not do something that violates another person's free will, like murder, rape, imprisonment, etc. That is why forgiveness is imperative and moving on is very important. So you don't have any ties that are conflicting and need worked out in another reincarnation. You'll be more at free will and having more fun without that. And I believe there's no such thing as cosmic injustice, so there is no need for cosmic justice per se. I feel that your intent, however, is very important. So if your intent is to do harm, you will see that in your life review when you cross over. There is no lying or hiding in the life review. So I say I'm kind of like playing with, I'm going to live to 147, but I like to play with an early life review and start reminding myself and my ego to be willing to apologize and say I'm sorry before that, before I have to be reminded of that after crossing over. So the other thing, which is really cool, is on the other side, there's no good or bad, but there's rehab. I just thought of that. Cracks me up. So there's no good or bad language, but there's rehab. So some souls want a little more light added to them. They need to rest, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay? Again, no judgment. I believe all of us, the seventh principle is that I believe all of us have thousands of lifetimes. Each lifetime is a deliberately chosen adventure. So if you think you are not courageous, you need to relook at yourself. Everyone reincarnated here now at this tremendous time of transition and rebuilding a new civilization are amazingly courageous. Remember, you make pre-life choices from knowing you are infinite and immortal and have little fear, and know you are deeply loved before you are born. The reason I'm going to talk a bit about the new children today is that they are designed to remember more when they are born. So, the eighth principle, there are many ways to incarnate, and there is no time on the other side. It's all simultaneous, and multiple timelines and dimensions are available, so there really is no rush. I have to remember that because my biggest fault is impatience. So some people may choose to evolve more slowly over many lives and take less chances, but be more assured and steady. And others will take more side journeys. So faster is not better. Spirit knows no time. Yet there are cycles that are respected. And we are indeed in a cycle of the breakdown of the old and the rebuilding of the new in a new way. So your soul family, I want you to know, on the other side, always rooting for you, however, to do what you came to do in each life. Ninth principle, and the last one I'll be covering, is most souls do not incarnate immediately after death. In many cultures, I'm sure you guys know, and in many religions, usually they will let the body rest for 3 days before they cremate or bury the body. This is believed, and there is some truth to this, to allow yourself to pull all your essence out of the physical form, okay? That seems to be how it works. Now, some people can pull all of it quick if they're prepared and they're really old souls. But if you say you died unexpectedly or quickly in an accident, it might take a while because it usually takes a while to figure out, I'm out of body, but I'm still alive. Wow. And then learn to pilot your light body by your thoughts and intent. It's pretty exciting. So from an earth perspective, you may wish to wait 3 months of our time before telepathically communicating with a friend or family member that's on the other side through a trusted clairaudient. But most souls are learning how to create on the other side with their intention and how to travel through their thought. And they need to evaluate their past lessons and opportunities to see what their next move will be for maximum soul growth. So those are what I think are the 9 most relevant facts that I have compiled about reincarnation so that you can examine those. Now, as I discussed in the previous shows, a local scholar here that I had the honor to meet, Frances Vaughn, has been communicating from the other side through several sources. And because she wants to provide comfort, as well as many other souls want to provide comfort and support all of us with boots on the ground here on Earth in these transitional times. So Frances was asked a fascinating question in one of the books, which is, what can you advise people focus on to prepare for the continuing changes in our world now? Frances responded with, and this is a direct quote from her book, you choose your life purpose before birth and then look for the best parents, location, and life circumstances to make it manifest. The best purposes are always about service and contribution to the whole. Love is always involved in that purpose, to shine your vision of a better world. These are indeed challenging times for almost everyone. This is why so many will be crossing over so they can assist from the other side. So getting clear about your purpose can be as simple as a life purpose to kindle the hearts and minds of others, to empower them to exceed even their own expectations of themselves. Just the nature of a family dynamic involves honing collaboration and consensus reality. And she says great growth comes from that. So if you can stay conscious It's about co-creating the best possible scenario with the mutual soul agreements you have with each other within the family, end quote. I think that's beautifully said. So I feel the real challenge for those of us that are not in the pure survival mode, meaning we have food and shelter, is what solutions and new ways can we create to address the unknown, navigating toward a brighter and more benevolent future for all, and treating nature sacredly. That is number one. So keep your eyes, thoughts, feelings, and most important, actions focused on creating the world you wish to create. This is very important. This is not about denying what is occurring or not taking care of yourself, but this is about activating more and more and more of your true creator self. Francis also reminds us from the other side, quote, "Source is not outside you and going to ride in to the rescue. Do not ask for a situation to change. Instead, do what you can in that situation to mitigate some of the pain that is present. Opportunities are everywhere. Figure out what you can do. Don't keep asking Source and angels to do it. You can each create miracles if you can tap into the source within you. That's where your source or God lives, not on some cloud somewhere," end quote. So humans are being tested, of course, from a galactic viewpoint to evolve. Now, this is not your souls. Most of you are old souls that would be listening to this station, but we're talking humans. The human experience are being tested to evolve from adolescence to adulthood right now. That requires that we don't wait for someone to come in and rescue us, that we don't wait around for the government to figure it out, that we do not. That takes responsibility as a creator to forgive all and move ahead. So I have just a quick little story, which is pretty wild. I have had both a challenging and fun 2 weeks since I last talked with you guys. And the universe has been having young men and women, I'd say in their late teens and 20s, and I start the conversation because I am practicing, see if I can cheer someone up or whatever. But as you gather by now, I do not do small talk. So I started chatting with one at the bank or at the grocery store or waiting in line for this. And after 2 minutes after I started up, I received the exact same 2 questions from 7 different people that didn't know each other, and they're all in their late 19s and 20s. So I'm sharing this with you because this is one of the topics I included, because obviously this is what all the young adults are concerned about. So they asked me, do you think I should stop smoking marijuana, and what do you think is my purpose here? So I won't tell you what I think about marijuana because it's not pertinent to this particular topic. But it was pretty even, and they ended up agreeing with me. But they all want to know, what do you think is my purpose here? And believe, here I am, a total stranger, but in 2 minutes, these advanced kids can read people, and they just said, do you have a suggestion? And I said, yes. And I said, the number one focus that the universe, source, and your higher self is asking of everyone, and especially you younger generations right now, is to know you are a co-creator. And so I asked them, do you? And every single one in each circumstance responded, yes. I said, good. Then I will continue. Each one of you can be a leader, no more followers. Do you agree? They all responded, okay. And I said, let me caveat that. Every person, no matter how small or large, can lead, even if it's baking something for someone. So, and they said, okay, we got it. And then they said, you are to take your passion and act in collaboration with other friends, family, whomever, using your skills and talents together to create something, anything, for the benefit of all. Do you understand? They smiled and said, yes, that's what we want to do. Thank you so much. I can do that, and it feels right. And I said, remember, collaboration is the key. Leadership is key, no matter how small or big. No more followers. Everyone is a leader. Commit to less divisiveness. The old model is a hierarchical structure. The true model is circular with a huge sun in the middle and billions of rays or spokes radiating out from the center in all directions, which is each one of you, young adults. Got it? And they said, got it. Begin to smile. So and I have received that through so many different sources that's the number one thing. From a galactic viewpoint, they said we cannot assist anymore because you will sit on your butts. This is, of course, my words. You will sit on your butts and not do anything and still wish to be saved, which is a huge conditioned disease of the planet. So you must prove to us that you will get to work in some kind of small action, and you will do what you need to do in collaboration with others to create something new. So that's it, folks. Creatively picturing the world you wish to help create and embrace change, because believe it or not, that is why every one of you incarnated now. This is a period of chaos and destruction of old, worn-out, greed-filled models, and anything that doesn't have integrity in it will begin to topple. And some of you, by the way, don't think every one of you has to go out, do new work, create new things. Some of you are divine stabilizers, and you will then be working steady at your probably usual job or current job, providing that it fulfills you enough. That is your function, a stabilizer. So that is so that the chaos doesn't happen too fast. We need stabilizers. So if you could see your higher souls, every single one of you, excuse my language, is kick-ass, loving, and courageous. Lauren, a good friend of mine and client yesterday, as a matter of fact, shared a quote I loved by an author named Mac Sick, and he defined courage. Courage is the ability to travel the distance between desire and action. I'm going to repeat that again. Courage, the ability to travel the distance between desire and action. So our purpose, our deepest soul purpose, is to become a wiser, unique contributor of the divine whole, all that is. Okay. Now, the next bullet point I had is a very unusual question, and it goes like this. How many dimensions or layers of information were you born with? So there's a gentleman named Randy Wittenheimer who's a scientist, inventor, trainer of super soldiers and corporations, and helps activate their spiritual abilities, and has very interesting information about people being, all of us, being made up of holographic layers of information, layers of memory, layers of density, and layers of dimensions in and around them. Calibrated all of this, and he said beings have many dimensions, let's say 12 different dimensions of understanding, of knowledge, or experience. He also said your dimensionality is set at birth, depending on the generation and your reason for coming in. However, it is not limited. So Randy has figured out that people born before 1980 are born with, get this folks, 16 to 18 dimensions, okay, that people like him can see. It incorporates our entire aura and our holographic soul energy and structure. So we have so much we can access. And he said it was 16 to 18 because before 1980, that was all that was required back then. Consciousness is an interactive process we all use in conjunction with the universe and, of course, in our present reality. So it is logical to assume there is an evolutionary growth need for the amount of information a human being can access. And sometimes you guys know this is called downloads. So I know that many of you listeners are already expanding your consciousness and reality through various practices like research, meditation, yoga, martial arts, self-inquiry, nature walks, etc. And if I may say, listening to shows like this, and I'm grateful for that. So what it appears, it's really cool, is the universe is increasing more dimensions available to people incarnating from 1980 onward. Now, why would that be? Because it is absolutely a necessity to access more wisdom and knowledge to create a more positive evolutionary change, being able to think and create outside the box. Okay? So Randy calibrated and shared a fascinating question called, how present are you in this universe? Pretty wild. And he offered a connection having to do with dimensions between Alzheimer's and dementia, which I found fascinating. He said, we find in both Alzheimer's and dementia, they start losing the closest memory field, but still have access to dimensions 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And one of the things that happens if you begin to exit life, in other words, leave your body, is that you start losing dimensionality or grounding presence in this universe. So that takes me to my next second topic, which is the 3 generations of these new children who have been incarnating in. And they are, there's different names from indigos, crystal, rainbow, diamond children, based on colors and appearance of their auras or energetic bodies. So I promised to offer what parents and grandparents need to know about the new children being born after 1980, okay? Many are born with additional dimensions of interaction, information flows, access, talents, and skills, things that are outside the current morphic field, to use a Rupert Sheldrake term, or our reality. They are designed to expanding us and wake us up. And we call this expansion of consciousness or awakening, right? So the new children, Randy said, are being born now with 20 to 23 dimensions. Okay, so remember, up to 1980, we were 16 to 18. Now the universe feels the need to increase the consciousness by providing the new incarnates. Not everyone, but a lot of them are being born with 20 to 23 dimensional access. So let's ask ourselves, what is going on in the universe that requires this greater capacity for consciousness, right? We all have unlimited capacity, but these children are empathic, telepathic, have abilities like levitation, telekinesis, and remote viewing, etc. But for most of us, it lies dormant. I have a feeling that many of the listeners have some of those online. These kids are used to hiding them because I'm meeting them a lot and I'm seeking them out. And they have no interest in being programmed in traditional education and just memorizing when they can access direct higher truths and science. They are bored out of their minds with our education and will often be found losing focus and daydreaming and have been labeled ADHD, et cetera, et cetera. It is important, these children, by the way, as for us, in order to access their abilities, eat super healthy, no sugar, have pure water, no fluoride that dumbs them down and contributes to apathy. I'm sure most of you know that. So this is a message for parents, grandparents, godparents, whatever. So the new children in the last generation, I want to tell you really, really quick. I think I have a quick time. So I was looking for a new person to share my office. And I get this call, and it goes like this. And remember, I don't small talk, so I kind of just go for it. And she goes, hello, are you Marilyn? And I said, yes. And she goes, good. You are the cosmic fireball I wish to talk to. Now, this is like the first words out of her mouth. And I said, oh, really? Why are you calling? And she said, well, I'd like to look at your space. She didn't say I want to rent it. She said, I'd like to look at your space. I said, okay, come over in 3 hours and I'll meet you. She comes in, and I am kind of like slightly scanning her, and I just said, do you have all your abilities on tap? Now, if you don't ask these questions, even to strangers, they won't answer it. But if you do, it's amazing what you get. This is how I move through life. So I'm like, I don't care if I'm wrong or come off stupid. It's like, okay. So I said, do you have all your abilities online? And she said, yes, I do. And I said, oh, how wonderful. How is that? Are you able to activate them all? And she says, yes, but I keep them quiet for the most part. And I said, well, why is it you're here? Are you wanting to see the room? And she says, no, I'm not really wanting to see the room. I just came mostly to meet you. And I said, okay. I said, is this an assignment? Are you supposed to meet? She said, yes. And I said, well, it's an honor. And so we were talking back and forth for 5 hours. And she said, by the way, you have a beautiful aura. And I said, oh, thank you. People have said that. She had all the rainbow color stuff. And I said, well, thank you. And I said, so what's your aura look like? And she got completely white, looked completely shocked, because this was after a very deep conversation. She said, you mean you can't see it? And I said, no, I am dumbed down here. Why do you think I research so much? And she said, it's indigo. And I go, oh, my God, you're one of the indigo kids. And she said, yes. And I said, how delightful is that? And she says, I need to tell you, by the way, that your place is so magical, and the fairies love you. Now, very few people know this, that I have been working with fairies for 10 years. I do not see them, but I see them. I have entire houses for them all over the place, but I didn't know they were coming to work. I invited them to work. I go, are you able to see them? And she goes, yeah, of course. And I said, tell me what they're doing. She says, one's hanging from the rafters, 2 are jumping up and down on the massage table, 1 is running around, and they really like you, and they really like this place. And she finished with a few more things, and she said, I'll be leaving now, and thank you so much for meeting you, for having the opportunity to meet you again. And I said, well, thank you. Okay, that's an example. Indigos prefer to connect and react, okay? They're very gentle. They do not like BS. They can read whether you're lying, and they're lots of fun. So I am checking here. I am going to go really fast with some. Well, I'm debating whether to give you really quick the 20 characteristics and advice regarding these no children. I'll tell you a couple because I promised, especially for you parents, grandparents, etc. Okay. And as you know, I talk fast, and I'm going to go through fast because I want to finish with 3 really cool cases of these kids, these extraordinary kids. And I've been able to meet, 2 of the 3 kids I'm discussing, so I can vouch for them. Okay, so 20 characteristics and advice regarding these new children, which means since 1980 onwards, okay? Babies are born, I'm sure you know this, with much more awareness and are telepathic. They're like sponges. They have no limiting beliefs that would lower their vibrations. They're coming in to lead. Remember what I said about leaders? No more followers, okay? Their job is to lead, and collaborate. That makes you a co-creator, right? Not a follower, a co-creator. Their job is to lead, to hold the blueprint for advanced humans and capabilities that are an example of what is normal in higher dimensions they come from. Most do not have karma and have not forgotten who they are. They are here to embody truth and help you parents and grandparents to release what no longer serves you at all. So no longer serves you, so you can awaken more easily to who you truly are. Their brains on a CAT scan will prove to be different. Larger portions of their neuro networks will be activated, and whereas, if there is such a thing as the normal human, is lucky to access 2 to 8% of their brain, even though people say 10%, they are utilizing almost 100% of their brain as a computer to access all these dimensions and information into their body and hopefully share it. So if they're not allowed to share it, they'll go nuts. So we need to invite them, and we need to be aware, and we need to be respectful and sincere. That's the best we can do, and these guys are going to really, really help. So the rest of the percentage of the brain is often used for metaphysical abilities that are part of all our creator self, but they're dormant in a lot of us. They are, of course, empaths and very advanced abilities. and they will keep those, if not deconditioned, out. They can get overwhelmed by so much receptivity from other people's feelings and disparity between their words and actions, okay? So parents and grandparents need to encourage all this with their children, to keep these skills active and to learn from their children. Dr. Ian Stevenson, if you don't know about him, found that children usually begin to talk about their past life memories between ages of 2 to 4. So you've got to talk to them then, okay? And you ask them. I mean, I ask young kids, do you remember living before in another body? You know, things like that. And you'll be surprised how many can remember. So those memories from Dr. Stevenson's work with 3,000 of these children, okay, these memories begin to dwindle between 4 and 7 years old when the child has a fully developed ego. So please, please, please ask the questions of your children, out-of-the-box questions, what they remember. We need to stop telling them what to do and ask what they feel is appropriate to do, and that will access their wisdom. I'm sure most of you know this, but a lot of parents I'm talking to and clients, they feel very ostracized and that other adults are being competitive with them, and they have to send their kids to normal schools, et cetera, and that is not true. That's part of us no longer being bullied, okay, by others. They are very sensitive, and they exist in a double existence, reality. They're multidimensional. They will not learn well in normal education. They can fake it, but they are so bored. They're super fast. They find memorization of random facts useless. The education we teach, I can guarantee you, is at least 63 years outdated, and they know it because a lot of them are so advanced in medicine, science, history, and politics that they just can't even stand it. They will not like to follow orders that are traditional or don't make sense because much are irrelevant and outdated. Some of the babies and kids will ask why a lot. You know, why? They are here to replace old ways with new ways and solutions beneficial for all. So please, parents and friends and babysitters, cultivate those children's abilities and embrace this and learn from them. And I'm sorry about all the labels they're getting, and the drugs given them, plus ADHD and all that, is not good for them, and they don't want to take it in general. But again, that's a lot of outside pressure parents have. So that there's a few more. They understand diversity and lack racism. That's what the universe is about, maximum diversity, and everyone has been all races, colors, and sexes. So it's just a sign of ignorance, and they remember being multiple lives and different things like that. So, you know, they're going to be dating everybody and anything. They often will be bisexual because it's whatever they're attracted to through love, not through some society conditioning. Most will seem far above their years, and they see energy, manipulate numbers, can move objects, and their higher abilities and turned on DNA will be passed on in future generations and not have to be relearned, allowing for more time to create. So that's very exciting. The creators have to create. Remember, everybody is co-creators and creators. You have to create or become bored and non-energetic, and many of these spend more time off planet than on planet unless they can be encouraged to follow their passions, and they go for it. They're fascinating and brilliant. And they will always embrace unification rather than prejudice and ignorance. So those are the traits of the new kids. Now, I'm going to share with you stories of one is amazing, okay? So, and there's hundreds. I believe we have 68 million advanced children, whether you call them indigos or diamond, and also starseed children, which means that they've had more lives on other planets and dimensions than on Earth. That's all that means, okay? So The first case I'm sharing with you is a 3-year-old boy in Syria's Golan Heights region, and he became known because he revealed he was murdered with an axe in his previous life. The boy of the Druze ethnic group, which believes in reincarnation, was born with a long red birthmark on his head. And according to Druze beliefs, the birthmarks are related to past life death. And I, as a practitioner of quantum healing hypnosis therapy, have found this also true, that often where we have birthmarks with how and where we got the gunshot wound or the knife wound or whatever that killed us in a previous life. It's a memory crossed over. So when this boy was old enough to talk, remember, you want to try and get him when they're really young, but was old enough to talk, he told his family that he had been killed with an axe blow to his head. And it's the custom, the elders took the child to the home that he says was his home. How many parents in America, whatever, would do this or just go, oh, that's nice, honey, that's just your imagination, okay? This group, the Druze, believe in that, and so they took the child to the home that he says was his home in a previous life to see if he remembered it. Sure enough, the boy knew the village he was from, and once he arrived, he remembered the name he had in a past life. And locals told the elders that the man who the boy was claiming to be had gone missing 4 years earlier. So that means he reincarnated within 4 years. When asked, the boy also remembered the full name of his killer. When the alleged killer was confronted, his face turned white, but he did not admit to the murder yet. So the boy then took the elders in their community to where he remembered his body was buried, and in that very spot they found a man's skeleton with a wound to the head that corresponded with the boy's birthmark. They also recovered the axe with which he had been killed. So faced with all that evidence, the killer only then admitted the crime. And there's a whole book called Children Who Have Lived Before Reincarnation Today by Hardo that tells this story. That's an example of what these kids can remember, okay? Second case, which I love, is a guy named Boriska, Russian and he is a young man, and at 9 years old, he had his first interview with Project Camelot, came public. His mother is a doctor, and he basically now is 23 years old and 7 feet tall. And he claims, well, I actually do know this to be true, but the boy claims to be from Mars and has lived on the red planet before and was reborn on Earth on an apparent mission to save humankind. And so he's a genius. Let's see, by the age of 1.5, he was able to read, draw, and paint. He had amazing, very polite, incredible advanced language learning skills, extraordinary abilities. His mother never discouraged that. She encouraged that. He would often sit in lotus style and talk for hours on Mars and what happened. And exactly what he says corresponds with the super soldiers that go back and forth and our secret programs that have bases on the Mars as we speak. So he said that, trying to remember this, let's see, he claims that his own race, which is the Martian race, was virtually wiped out thousands of years ago due to nuclear warfare, which is correct. We had a huge war. The alleged, he's allegedly saying that he came to warn the humans of a similar situation because the Martians with each other were infighting all the time. There were many different groups and many different wars. He was a pilot. They had different kinds of anti-gravity, all different kinds of plasma ships, but there was a lot of warring going on. So he was killed in the explosion and reincarnated to Earth. There are many children like him who have been sent on the same mission from cloak outer space. We call them ETs, but you'll find out that your human bodies contain huge amounts of ET genetics. And he said that these children are also reincarnations from the Martian race and are called the indigo children. And indeed, I've talked to many of them, many being over 20, and there was a huge migration of souls that could no longer viably live on Mars to come to Earth. And a lot of them were aggressive souls, which explains a lot. However, there were survivors, he said, and there are survivors underground on Mars and in the bases and et cetera. So he also said that the Martians can be immortal and stop aging at 35 years old. They're extremely tall and have interstellar travel. And he remembered what it was like to be 14 or 15 years old when they were waging wars. And I think he has a 200 IQ. So that is another example. And because of all the research I do, I can pretty much vouch that so far what he was drawing and everything he says is true. But you will have to decide that for yourself. The third case that I would like to share is Kathy, who is a 9-year-old starseed. She is awesome. And Mary Rodwell, who is a nurse from Australia and an interviewer and researcher, I think for at least 20 years, with star children. Again, children who mostly come from other planets and reincarnate here to assist. And by the way, on the pre-announcement on my page on News for the Soul, there's a picture of Kathy. I want you to take a good look at her eyes, look at her quality of presence as she's standing there, and you guys will see and get it. Okay, so she says, poor us, kids who come to volunteer. We have such a difficult time ahead of us, a real challenge. I am here to help my family wake up. Everyone on Earth is asleep. So Mary, the one they go to talk to, great gal, received the following email. I'm going to read it from Kathy's mother when she was 9 years old, and she lives in Northern Europe. And she had the ability to heal water through star languages. Many of these speak different languages from off-world. She also gives her perspective on God and her mission. So I wanted to share that with you. So this is Kathy's mother writing. My 9-year-old daughter speaks star languages to heal water. I have 4 children. At the time of my first pregnancy, a voice told me, your children are not yours. They only come through you. These children belong to no one. It was only recently that I even became aware that there were such things as extraterrestrials reincarnating. My 9-year-old daughter is a special girl who finds the conventional world and rules difficult. She asked me, why isn't she allowed to do things her own way? Sounds familiar? Kathy has healing abilities and dictated some healing words in an ET language to purify water. I noticed the water tasted differently afterwards. She says the star languages are from a place outside of the universe. She receives messages in ET languages and understands what they're saying to her telepathically. She says they are important. They help guide her. Mary, I showed her your presentation where another woman does healing and writes and speaks in several ET languages, and my daughter excitedly jumped up and down with joy and said, she knows what I have written. She is the same. Her perspective on God and being is Kathy doesn't use the word God because she says it's misused. She calls it a being who resides in the daylight. It is an over-terrestrial. Daylight is where we all originate. God is not a man or woman. It has no gender. This being sowed the seeds of light and love, and it's where the light and angels live. And Kathy has helpers that help guide her, and one of the beings she calls Emanoke. A female has blue skin, no hair or ears, and her eyes are like human eyes, only bigger. The male guide has green skin. They are helpers from the dayland dimension, she says, who helps her understand how to live on Earth. My friends are with me all the time. So the knowledge is, I want to share the knowledge, is that the ET friends have given her in, she says, 7 books, not tangible books, but I think she's talking about 7 downloads. This is pretty interesting. So the first is the red book is about creation and our origins. The round book is about different planets and the life there. The light green book is about nature and how we can make contact with plants and animals and understand nature telepathically. The dark green one is about the body, how it really works, and how we get it to evolve. The blue book is about light and truth. The red-brown book, she said, she can't open yet because a dragon took the key from her sometime in the 1700s. Car is one of the oldest species ever, and this is saying she remembers herself from the past, so she's got pre-full memory. The black book explains about darkness and evil and is dangerous, and all the books contain important information for me. So, when asked, what do you think about school and educational systems, this is a cliche answer from these advanced kids, or a standard answer, I should say. Quote, what they teach in schools is not accurate. They program you like computers and shut out your light. There is nothing good about this system. The children are programmed. The teachers just push the keys. The children already contain the learning we need, but they don't allow the children to expand on it and finish because we have to stop and do something else. The information is set and rigid. The school programs are like a virus. It destroys what we have inside us. When we grow up and are like the computer, which is old, we will be finished. We lose access to our pure energetic information we had at the beginning. Education is only one of the ways this happens. Our inner core can be destroyed by too much stress, facing too many multiple tasks, not enough good food or sleep or anxiety. We have been deliberately destroyed. And so Mary, the researcher, says, what's going to happen in the next 10 years, 2012 to 2022? She said something important will happen in the next 5 years, 10 years on this planet. The parents have to listen to this, to us. We need to educate the parents. She says, what's your purpose here on earth? To get my family to wake up and to protect my little brother because he's important for humanity. He will become my teacher when he grows up, and he will in turn help humanity wake up. Mary, you said he will also be a teacher? In what way? Kathy, he will be my teacher as I will be, and he will be homeschooled so he will retain true knowledge. Mary, what do your guides teach you? Kathy, they are teaching me different knowledge so I can teach adults. The danger is that it can be changed and then the true information is lost. Then people get confused and lost by making fun of the star children or advanced children or not believing them. Many star kids are destroyed by education. Mary, how many star kids are there? Kathy, 40 to 50% out of every 100. But many get lost and only 20% will remember who they are. We have to wake up. The beings want us to wake up and see reality as it is, to understand how powerful each and every one of us is. Some individuals from Dayland and Eveningland have come here to help humanity with the awakening. It's very dangerous for us to come help because our past life memories can be deleted at birth, and we take a huge risk. And some of this is destroyed by society, education, drink, and drugs. Now, this gal is 9 years old. Those who come here are aware of the dangers and still want to come and help. That is how we serve. We care. People need to become awake. Mary, how can we wake them up? Kathy, we have to increase our energy as we don't have the energy required. It's stolen from you in many ways. How can we protect our energy? At present, we only have 5% of our energies. You need to have 1.5% minimum to stay healthy. Mary, how might we begin to increase our energy? Kathy, don't get angry about small things. Don't speak on mobile phones for a long time. Don't eat white sugar. Don't watch TV. Don't use microwaves. Don't have wireless internet, or don't use it much. And if you do, take long walks in nature. Thank you, Mary. You have big ears. You listen. Most adults don't. So, we're close to our end time, and I didn't receive any questions from you. So I hope you enjoyed that. It's amazing to talk to these beings, and it's very hopeful and very excited. So since I'm not receiving any questions from the listeners right now, I just wanted to remind you to look the Monday before for my shows for the pre-announcement, and you can send questions if you have them. Merely at supersoulsolutions.com is my email. And then please go to my website, supersoulsolutions.com, and especially look at the Quantum Healing Hypnosis Journey on the website. And you will get a sample of amazing things that a person accessed during one of her sessions about her past and parallel lives. I was trained by Dolores Cannon, who published 18 books. And my favorite one, if you guys haven't read it yet, is 3 Waves of Volunteers, which discusses the 3 generations of these new kids coming in and to help awaken us. So we got through a lot of information. I hope you have found at least parts of this helpful for you, for your family, for what you know. Please don't think less of yourself. Every single one of you is a fractal of creation and is a creator. So just think, no matter what you do, where you go, what you can do to assist and serve, okay? And lead the way. And don't be afraid to ask unusual questions. I have one super quick story. Because I think outside the box, but I'm going to save that for next time. I know that's a teaser. I'm going to save that for next time because, I will. So what I want you guys to do is promise me you will do something silly today. Silly, okay? That will lighten you. So blessings to you all, and onward and upward. See you in 2 weeks, and thanks for joining me. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Marilee. That was great. And actually, we did have some questions. I was standing by on the switchboard, so I'll send those to you in email.
Okay,
sorry, that was my bad. But I'm kind of glad that we didn't get to them, so you could get all that covered. So that was fantastic, and looking forward to next time 2 weeks from now.
Okay. Thank you, Nicole. Take care.
You too. Marilee is all linked up at newsforthesoul.com. We're back with more right after this.
Hear all of our previously aired broadcasts of News for the Soul online at newsforthesoul.com. Now let's get back to the show.